Hello friends, I made it. Now I just have to figure out where I can find myself on in the group. So if you're here, just bear with me for a second. Say hello. Feel free to say hello. And we'll see if we can get things started. Hey Beth, how's it going, friend? Okay. Hello everyone. So I'm excited because I'm doing some seriously grungy, vintagey playing today, and we're gonna have some fun. So off screen, just to kind of play and prepare for what I was gonna do in today's video, I did some sample pages. So we're gonna do, so in the live, I'm gonna do this side of this journal. So I wanted to show you how you can take the same basic techniques that you're going to do, that you can do either in art journaling or in card making, can be used for the other thing. So this is just to kind of show you, because I know some people have said, oh, we love your mixed media backgrounds, which is, you know, something that's pretty popular these days. But I'm a Bible journal, or I'm a journaler, art journaler, Bible journaler, whatever. I don't do cards. And then, of course, the flip side of that is maybe you are not a Bible journaler or an art journaler or whatever, and you are a card maker. So, so we are going to do both today. I'm going to show you kind of side by side how you can, and I have this upside down, which is kind of funny. I just had that upside down, but I'm going to show you how you can basically do both things using basically the same supplies, and create in a journal. Or if you're a Bible journaler, you could do a lot of these same techniques in some Bible journaling, or you can create backgrounds to make cards. So let me move this stuff. Now I'm letting this dry because the last step of this is to add some texture with, I did some stenciling here, and you can see it kind of went under my stencil. That was a little bit annoying in these couple of places, but it is what it is. I used some crackle paste, and that takes some time to dry. So these will dry while we are, I'm going to set them aside. Well, actually, I'm not going to set this aside. I'll set this one aside because I'm going to work on this side. But I'm going to let this dry, and we'll just work on this side, and then we're going to work on another piece of cardstock. So this is just a piece of cardstock that was probably put behind something else. I cut it down. It already has some messy stuff on it, and I don't really care because I'm going to mess it up anyway. So, you know, that doesn't matter. This also had some things on it as well. But we're going to be playing with some of the new products from our April release, and I'm excited about that. And I have here the new stamp of the month, which is called Vintage Sheet Music. Sorry, Vintage Sheet Music Tile, because it's obviously a little tile. But it is so much fun. I don't know if you guys can see. This was written, like somebody literally wrote all of these notes in, which I think is so cool. And if anybody who plays music, I don't know if you could read that or know what that is, but very cool stamp. So that's our stamp of the month. You can purchase that set as it is, or you can earn it for free with your $75 order on the website. So that's awesome too. We're also going to be playing with, let me see if I could find what I did with it. I thought I just had it sitting here, and now I'm like, where did it go? We're going to be playing with this new set by Casey Turner, my sister. I don't know the song, Marilyn. Or Marilyn. I don't know. I would have to, yeah. I don't know. It's very close together. Everything is very close together, so I'm not sure. I don't read notes, so I couldn't tell you. Anyway, we're going to play with this one. This is called Take Flight. And we're going to be using these bird images. And let's see what else. We're going to also use, I'm going to be using this little postage stamp, whatever you want to call it, image from the Vintage Postage set that was released a couple of months ago. And then I'm also going to use my favorite. This is typewriter text background. And we'll see. We may come up with some other, oh, and I'm going to use the Grunge Mini Textures. I love, or wait, Grunge Textures Mini Stencil? I don't know. Something like that. But I love this one. I use it all the time. So we're going to use that too. Let's see what else. So if you want to play along, you're certainly welcome to do so. Oh, that's awesome, Beth. Yay! So you could play if you want. So we're going to be using a bunch of different browns. I have aged mahogany out and some blending brushes. I also am going to be using ground espresso, and I love this VersaFine Clair. Sorry, I'm not even sure if I'm on the screen. VersaFine Clair Pine Cone is really great for these really dark, when I want to stamp something really dark. I love that. And so instead of black, it really, you can see how nicely it stands out. So basically the idea with the mixed media, you know, people often ask me, you know, or tell me they love my mixed media backgrounds, and they ask, you know, how do you do it? How do you achieve it? It's all about layers. All about layers. So this has multiple layers of stenciling and inking and stamping and whatever on it. And that's what gives you all that cool texture and interest. So let me see if I can move, because I feel like I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. Well, we might have to move this and set it back down. So let me move this for now, and I'll start on this piece. I'll start with this piece. And I'm going to show you what there's a couple ways you can add color, especially to a piece of cardstock. But I really like this way. It's a little bit more controlled. So we're going to use, maybe we'll grab some vintage photo and some brushed corduroy to start out. So I'm just going to use some blending brushes, and I'm going to start adding color. I don't really care how this goes down because it's just the back layer, the bottom layer. I don't really care if it's not blended. That does not matter to me one bit. Kelly, your avatar or whatever keeps popping up, and it says numerous times, Kelly is watching, Kelly is watching, Kelly is watching. So I'm trying to find the comments in between those. It's so funny. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, so who else is here? Oh my word, it just told me again that you're watching, Kelly. Let's see. Hi, Jen. Jen Nelson is here. And Mary is here. Welcome. Welcome to the party. Okay, so see how I just kind of messily, doesn't really matter, put some color down on here. I am going to also, so I have all of this left over on my glass mat, and this is going to react with the water, so which I want, because I want the texture that it adds when I do this. So now I'm going to pick up what was on there and see how it gives me, it kind of messes up the, I don't know if messes up is the correct word, but it makes more different textures and marks because of the water and then that extra ink that was already on here. So now we'll just clean this off just for the sake of having it clean. So now we've got all of this interest going on, different little splotchy marks, which I love. And so what I'm gonna do, because I want to try to do it side by side, sort of, I'm gonna do the same thing. We'll set this aside for a second. I'm gonna do the same thing to this, sort of the same thing to this page. Now keep in mind, this is already an old book page that has the coloring on it, and obviously has text on here. Being that it's thin, you have to be much more careful when you do these kinds of things to an old book page like this. You can't get quite as aggressive as you might with, you know, a piece of cardstock. So what I'm going to do is just kind of gently, and I love these brushes for this reason because they are pretty gentle. I'm just going to add a little bit, kind of pushing outward if I can, of color. Sometimes you just kind of got to go like this and pull away so it doesn't move around. Look at that edge. Look at that edge right there that I got on my underpaper. I love that. I love it. But this is just to show you that you can do the same thing that I'm doing on the cardstock in your book. Now I'm not going to add as much water to this, but what you could do is take a block. Now I don't know that this color is going to honestly show up on here because of the color of the page, the book page, but you can take a little bit of ink from and put it onto a clear block, spritz it with some water, try not to go too crazy, and just kind of like tap it onto your page, as opposed to the other way around where you would be putting your paper onto the glass mat. Oops, see, I tore it. Oh, it stuck. It stuck to my block and then I tore it. So we'll have to reinforce that somehow, but I'm not too worried about it right now. I can add a thing of tape in here to reinforce it. But that gives you the idea that you can do it. I probably shouldn't have ripped it off of there so fast, but it is what it is. Okay, so now we've got those two inking steps done. Let me move this back out of the way. Went and played the song on my piano. Interesting music, looks better than it sounded. Yeah, well, it's just some vintage thing I bought online, and yeah. Okay, so now we want to add more texture, obviously, because hello, that's what this is all about. So I'm going to take some of my ground espresso, and I'm not going to put this on a block. I'm just going to hold it in my hand. You could take it off of the other sheet if you want, but I don't really find that to be necessary. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this to this paper. And you can do it, you know, if you do like double stamping or second generation stamping where there's still ink left over and you stamp it again, you'll get even more kind of pushed to the background. The texture will be lighter and it'll just give you a little bit more of that texture. And then of course we've got to do it on this page. Now this one already has all that text on it, so this one's going to be a little bit messier as far as busy and whatnot, but for right now I'm not going to worry about that. You could go over this piece. This piece didn't have anything on it. You could go over this piece with like some gesso or something, or some kind of even like a brown, sort of a brown paint, if you would, if you wanted to do that to cover up some of the texture. But I'm just showing you for the sake of, you know, time. We'll not worry about that step, and you'll just get to see what it looks like the way that it is. No big deal. Yes, I hope you will try on some of your ATCs. Okay, so now I've done some of the texture stamping. Let me just set this guy aside again. I'm gonna have to just keep grabbing him because I don't have space. And I'm going to wipe up my little tiny bit of ink that was left over there. Hi, Debbie, no worries. Okay, so now I'm going to add, because this is the one I did off screen that we're kind of going off of. I want to add even more of the texture, the darker areas. So I'm going to take some of that ink and I'm just going to spritz it, I put it right there on my mat. I'm just spritzing it with water, and we're going to get more blotchy areas, picking it up. So see how now I've got some more dark areas, and then I literally just like pull it, scrape it up with my paper. Now with this one, again, in order to do that, we would have to do it with our block, because we can't, I don't want to have to try to flip my sheet over, or flip my book over. And you can even, oh, I'm tearing it again. I just keep sticking it because it's wet. Here, let's do something real quick, because this is going to end up tearing right out of here. I told you this was a really old brittle book page. I'm finding my tape. Let's see if I have it. I don't know where my tape is. I have like a white tape. I don't see it close by. Oh, here's some. Okay. So this is just kind of like I think this is a mixed media tape, actually. Oh, if I could get it going, that would be nice. And I'm just going to patch this for now, because I don't really care that the back side is going to have this piece of tape on it. Like, that doesn't really bother me. So, in fact, I'll even tape it and reinforce it against this other page right here. Now, obviously, if you're using cardstock, you probably won't have this problem. But I'm just showing you because, you know, yes, we do have these problems. You may have this problem at some point, and now you can see a way to solve the problem. We're just gonna reinforce that. All right, so now at least it's a little bit sturdier, and I'll have to be careful when I'm pulling my any kind of wet, like if I have a block on there, I'll have to be a little bit more careful. Uh-oh. It looks like my video is spinning, so I don't know if you guys can still see me. Okay, so I can't see your comments now because my video just disappeared on my screen. So I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can back out of here and try it again. Okay, so I can see on my phone you're saying that you're still here, so it's clearly something with my iPad, which is going to be really challenging considering the fact that I need to be able to see what's happening. So I'm sorry, guys. Well, I might just have to keep going and not worry about the comments, and we'll just keep working. So if you ask comments, I might not be able to answer right away because I can't get for some reason, my iPad decided that Facebook was going to crash. So that's awesome. Let me just see if I can restart it real fast. Or not. Okay, moving on. Let that reload, hopefully. Okay, so Now I'm going to do, so I want to add some more of the, some different colors. So we're going to come in and we're going to do some more stamping. Let me just move this out of the way again. And I'm going to use the aged mahogany, and I'm going to do some of the postage stamp. And let's see, let's do, I'm just going to fill in some areas. I usually try to stamp, if I'm ever doing any kind of, I don't know, pattern or image or something like this, where I'm doing, where I want it to kind of look like it's random, I actually do it where it's not technically random, and I do it in threes. Okay, so we've got, I just put 3 of those on there, but I want to add a little bit of this leftover ink that's on here, and we're going to just sort of splatter it to give us some more texture. And that gives me a different color as well. It adds another little color in there. Look, you can see splatter literally everywhere over here. And then because, you know, I've got that there, well, I'm just gonna pick it up. And we'll just clean up. Oh my goodness, if you guys saw the splatter that's everywhere. Okay, so then I also still have this little bit of ink on here. I don't even care. I'm just gonna stamp it on here, kind of in the background. Okay, so now I've got a little bit more texture, and it is, sorry, I'm trying to restart that. And it's kind of coming together as we add more and more layers. So now I want to do it to this one. And let's see, since we can't really stamp in this area, we'll just kind of go here maybe, and then here, and I'll do something right there. All right, and then I want to again do the same thing that I did before. Now I don't really have the, you know, the glass mat to work from now. I just have the ink pad. So I just take a wet brush and add it that way, and then now it's wet again, and so I can add some more with that. Okay, so does we see how it's coming together? Okay. Let me just, sorry, there's too many cleanups that I need to do. Okay, I just got my video back up. It looks a little delayed, but that's okay. We'll keep going. Yeah, I don't like wasting, Michelle. That's one of my things. I don't like wasting. If I'm gonna pay for this stuff, I really do want to try to use it as best I can. I am gonna dry this just real fast. This one I think is pretty dry. Okay. Move you out of the way for a second. Hi Tina, no worries. Let's see. I'm just gonna go back and see if I can read the comments that I missed from before. So it looks like Marcia asked what kind of paper I was using, I think. I am not actually using watercolor cardstock as my base. I do sometimes, but it tends to take longer to dry. So for some of these techniques, I'll just use my regular, this is just like hammer mill. I think it's 110 pound cardstock, and I use it for most of my card bases. You definitely could use watercolor paper for these kinds of techniques, but it will react a little bit differently because watercolor cardstock allows the water and the mediums to sit on top, whereas this lets it soak in. So you would get a different look. You're going to get a different look, but for the sake of time and not wanting to have to keep drying and drying and drying, I'm just using, and I'm just kind of an impatient person when it comes to creating, for sure. So I'm just using regular cardstock. I try not to get it too wet though, because it does, you know, it can cause issues if you get it too wet. Okay, so let's see. I hope that helps. Yeah, the circle is my light above my head. That's why there's a circle there. Okay, so let's keep moving. So now I want to do, I'm going to add these birds in. I think I'm going to add these birds because now we want to start doing more in the foreground. So I put 4 of the birds on one block, and I'm going to use the VersaFine Clair, ink, pine cone, to give me this nice deep blue, or yeah, blue, this nice deep brown. Such a great color. And I'm just going to stamp this off to the side. And then I'm going to do a little bit up here because I kind of want to have this guy coming up off of there. And I'm going to leave this for a second because I might use that on something on the other page. And then I'm going to take this little guy by himself, and I just want to kind of make this look like they're going off the page. So I'm going to just do a couple of those like that. So now I've got those birds up in the background, or up in the top, not in the background. And I will just quickly wipe this off. If you don't have a chamois for your cleanups, oh my goodness, get a chamois. They're so awesome. All right, so now I'm going to, actually I'll just ink this up again because I want to do the full strength ink. We're going to do the same thing up here. And then we'll take this little guy, and I still have a little bit of ink on there, so I'm just going to use that ink and go like that. So now we've got birds kind of coming onto, off of, whatever you want to call it, that page right there. And see how this kind of flows now because the two go together. Okay. So this will end up being, becoming, you know, like a 2-page spread in my art journal. And then I will be turning the other 2 that I did into card bases, or card backgrounds. Okay, so we've got our birds on both pieces. Now I'm going to add a little bit of stenciling. I'm going to take this stencil here, and I'm going to use the ground espresso because it's nice and dark. And I'm just going to put some more texture on to my pages. Well, this page, and then, and again, see how I'm doing it in 3s? I usually try to keep it like odd numbers. Okay, we'll move you out of the way again. And we're going to do the same thing here. And then maybe up top. Okay, so now we've got even more texture going on that one. Okay. So now this one, because this one doesn't have any text, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this to the other page or not. I haven't decided yet because there's already so much text on that. So I don't know if I really want to do it. But I want to bring in some more of this. What do I do with it? Darker brown. And pull some more of that into the foreground. So we're going to just stamp a little bit of this text. Okay, isn't that so cool? As you add more and more layers, it just looks so awesome. And maybe because I do have ink, and you know I don't like to waste it on here already, I might just do it anyway. It's fine. Alright, so now we've got a little bit of text on there, even though there's already quite a bit on the pages. So the stencil, this one is mini, or no, wait, I'm sorry, it's called Grunge Textures Mini Stencil, I believe. STCW-23-02 if you want the number, but Grunge Textures, I believe it's Grunge Textures Mini Stencil. Okay, so now I need to darken the edges, because if you remember, my original one is I have all of this darker area, and you see how it's like curled up and kind of tattered a little bit. We want to grunge that up a little bit more. Okay, so now I want to come in with I like to come in with this ink pad, and I'm going to just go like this. Now you don't have to do it on your, it's probably better not to do it on your glass mat, because then you won't waste you won't waste the ink. But I'm just going around and kind of sliding this on along the edge of my cardstock. And then I'm going to come in with my brush and I'm going to blend it a little bit before it dries totally. And since there's some here on my mat, I'll just use it. So see how juicy that was? Look at that. It's like, it's so juicy. That is such a juicy pad. But see how now when I do this, it kind of wants to curl up in different places? I let it do that. I just let it kind of organically curl if it does that. And then you might force it if you need to. Okay, so now I've got all of this ink, and you know I can't waste it. Let's just put a little bit of this in here, and I'm gonna actually spritz this. Now this is a pigment ink, so we're gonna see if spritzing it works. It does. I don't know if it will really do anything though, as far as on here. I don't think it really will, so we're just gonna clean it off. It didn't really do too much, but at least it cleans right off. Okay, so this is my original. This one I did had a little bit more yellow in it. I used a different color when I put the colors down, and I actually kind of like that little bit of yellowish color that's in there. So now what I want to do, and you can see this, it's really starting to look quite similar. I want to rough up my edges. So you can use a scissors. Let me just wipe my hands off real fast because I have ink everywhere. You can use a pair of scissors if you want, if you don't have one of these edge distressors. But I'm going to use the edge distressor and just go along here. Now you won't be able to do this step in your journal, but because I'm doing this directly onto a book page, it already kind of has a little bit of that you know, grungy, torn edge. You could even just tear the edge. The book page is a lot easier to tear, as you saw earlier. So you could even just tear your page edge if you want, if you like that look. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of a mess. All right, so see how that just kind of wrinkles it, and now I can just come in and work with those corners if I wanted, you know, to bump them back up again. It just gives it such a cool look. And then because the corners are bent over, I do want to grunge those too, because I don't want them to be white like the background, like the back of this is. You got it by accident. Tina, which one did you get by accident? The stencil. Was that the one that I sent you by mistake or something? The wrong one. Okay. Yes, she did a wink, so I'm assuming that's what she was referring to. Okay, so now we've got, look how cool that looks. And that is such a neat layered background. Now let me come in because I do want to show you how I got the darker area on my page as well. So I still am going to take my ink pad and I'm going to very carefully take it along the edge to still give me that darker area. And you could even, like on this side, like sometimes it's kind of cool to just very lightly go over. Now I have my texture crackle paste on here, so that's gonna like pick up some of that color. But if you like the way it looks with having, you know, areas where it picks up some of that ink, so like, let's see if I can do it here. Like, see how it just kind of picks up where the raised areas are, and it gives you a little bit more texture and depth if you do it in other places. So now again with this, because I'm on a very delicate piece of paper, I'm gonna just go outward like this. I'm gonna kind of try to blend this a little bit, but go away from the center so that I don't wreck the page. You can also kind of, you know, bend it up if you like the idea of it being bent, but since it's in a book, it probably won't really stay that bent. Yes, that's right, Tina. Okay, so now the only other thing that I need to do on these two pieces is add some of that texture paste, and we're using this stencil to do it. And actually it was crackle paste, not texture paste, so I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but probably not very well, but it does have a bit of a crackle. I'm not sure if you can see the crackle since the lines are so small. There's more crackle on this one, on some of these. See how and because I went over it with the ink, you see how it kind of, see what happens if I don't know if the ink will actually, because it's not a dye-based ink. But what we could do, because now that this is dry, we could take a little bit of this ink and just kind of run it kind of over here, run over this a little bit. And because this will react with water, then you spritz it and just kind of let it, push it around, and it'll move into those crackly spots, and then you'll be able to see them a little bit better. You can see how messy. Look at my hands. Look like I've been working out in the garage. Okay, so that's my first one, but let me do some crackle paste. Now on this last step with the crackle paste, it does take quite a while to dry, and you really don't want to rush it because the crackle effect is better when you just let it dry on its own. So let's just take a little bit of this crackle paste. Yes, Rebecca, I do, but I don't think it's currently on the site because I have yet to put all of the products on the new site. So, so the answer is yes, I have it, but if you want one, maybe send me a message and I will see if I can get it quickly added to the website later today. I have so many products in stock that I haven't had a chance to get put on the new website, and it's not really doing me a whole lot of good to have them just sitting here not selling. But it's just time consuming to get everything listed. So if there's anything specific that you're wanting, if I have it, I can try to get it put on there pretty quickly. All right, that one didn't do very much. I probably was up too far, but that's okay. We're just gonna let that one dry. I'm gonna put this aside. And then this one. Now, because this is not totally flat, I probably should have done it before I did all of the crinkling, but then I would have had to wait for this to dry, and I really wanted you to see this step. All right, so there's a little bit of that. And I don't know if I want to put some, I think I'm just going to leave that, and I'm only going to do 2 areas just because I don't want to get too much into that folded down corner. I'm not sure if it will look very nice. So then I'm going to set these aside for a bit to let them dry, and then I did want to show you this trick for cleaning off the crackle paste as quickly as possible. I spray it with some water. You can spray your mat if you have a glass mat or a silicone mat, and it usually will come right up. This is my cleanup towel. It is very, very colorful and messy. I lay my stencil down on top of the towel, and then I fold the towel over, and I try to gently wipe off the paste. And then I'll flip it over and do the other side, because usually it ends up going through a little bit. But if you know, now there are some stencils, have little pokey areas, so you do have to be very careful when you have that kind of stencil where it can kind of catch on your towel. You might have to figure out which direction you can safely rub, but that at least gets my stencil mostly cleaned off. Yes. Okay, so a couple of questions I see. My crackle paste is the Deco Art Media, and we do have this one in stock as well. So if you're wanting to get some crackle paste, I'm pretty sure we have a few bottles of this or jars or whatever, and I could get those added to the site soon. And then the other question was, is this a handmade journal? Yes. Let me just show you real fast. I made this journal in, I made this journal in a class, well, actually it was the sample for a class that I taught here in Georgia outside of Atlanta. But this is my journal. It is made with the cardboard shipping pieces that I stick in your orders when you guys get orders from us. Those pieces of cardboard that are in those orders are amazing for junk journal covers. So this is a journal that I taught, and I haven't done any pages in it other than just like a little bit of decorating. So this is, yeah, so this is going to be inside that journal. And it's just got like random pages and stuff in it. So when I go to do, so this is what that other page looked like originally. It was this color and it didn't have the text on it. When I go to do like the backs of these pages, I will very likely add gesso and maybe matte gel, like layers of maybe some paints or mediums that will allow this to strengthen up a little bit, because of the fact that these pages are pretty flimsy. This one especially is really flimsy. So, but anyway, at least you can see that's kind of the basis of what my spread's going to look like. So let me set this aside again because it's got to dry. I keep bumping my camera, I'm sorry. And this is the one that I just did. So this one has to dry, but this one is dry. Yes, save all those cardboards. They do make really great journal covers, for sure. Yes, so super vintagey, and then this basically would become a background. And what I may do, and I didn't have time to do this to prep ahead of time for you guys, but what I'm thinking I might do is maybe stamp some kind of floral images onto another piece of paper. I don't know if I'll use this one from the new set, the blooming tulips. I'm not really sure yet. We'll see. But this is going to be the background, and then I'll probably put some kind of a focal point. Sorry, I'm not even on the screen. I'll put some kind of a focal point on here, and then maybe like a little sentiment or something on top of this, and then that'll basically be my my card. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. I hope it was fun. I hope you'll give it a try with just some different layers and using different products that you have. I really didn't use a ton of mediums. It was mostly ink. So I just want you to see as a stamper, if you're a stamper and you don't have all the paints and things like that, you can definitely create really cool textured backgrounds using just your ink pads and some blending brushes. Obviously texture paste is a lot of fun, or crackle paste, but even if you have like a white, my hands are filthy now so I'm going to try to wipe them down a little bit, but even if you have like a white acrylic paint, you can run that through a stencil as well. You just scrape it through a stencil. You could use a credit card, an old credit card, or a rewards card, or some kind of a plastic card to scrape that through. If you don't have a texture paste, you can still get some of the same effect if you just use paint, as opposed to the crackle paste, or I don't know if you guys can see how that ended up crackling, or texture pastes and things like that. So anyway, there it is. And don't forget, this month, it's a new month. So if you enjoyed anything with today's video, you were inspired by anything, any of the techniques I shared, please feel free to create something using our stamps and upload, or our stencils or whatever, and upload to the April album for a chance to win. This month's or last month's prize was a $15 gift code to the website, and I haven't decided what this month's is going to be yet. It's going to be, either something similar, or maybe the same, maybe something similar. We'll see. It'll be good. I promise. It'll be worth it. So definitely play along when you have a chance, and I hope that you have an awesome, awesome day. Make sure you tune in next week. I think it's Wednesday. Michelle McClay is going to be doing a live on Wednesday, I believe at 8 p.m. Yes, you can watch the replay if you can't watch live. And she'll be sharing some, I think, some Bible journaling, actually. So if you want to see more about that, I'm sure the techniques that she shares you'll be able to incorporate as well into your whatever you do, whatever creative worship form you enjoy. So, okay guys, I'm going to let you go, and I hope that you have an awesome rest of your day. Catch you next time.